every freaking time on silent. Um, Hi, everybody. We are heading into a full moon. There's been a lot of energy around. I'm super excited to talk about today's topic is tapping into your miracle frequency and allowing yourself to trust fall with God. Considering November is a great time for you to make large leaps and manifest based on all the seeds that you've been planting throughout the year. So now is not the time for you to lose your structure or lose your faith in what you are manifesting. It's a time to amplify your energy, amplify your connection with spirit, amplify your gifts. And so I wanted to talk about that because it can feel quite strange to trust fall with God or spirit, universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever your verbiage is, especially in the beginning of your journey, because if you are also healing any sort of church hurt, hopefully that's not too loud. I have all my windows open again. If you are healing anything, can you hear it? Hold on. Okay. So I'm back. If you have been healing any sort of church hurt in your life, meaning maybe you were a part of the church at one time, or a church, or some sort of spiritual practice, or a religious practice, and you decided to take a different path because it didn't resonate with you anymore, but you still feel this connection or this calling, this like desire to be a part of your spiritual journey with some sort of energy that is bigger than yourself, even if you don't work with your ancestors or deities and things like that, then definitely listen to this, because in the beginning it can feel quite strange, almost like you don't know if you can actually trust whatever this energy is, but you feel it there. You feel its presence. Your life almost becomes quite miraculous when you decide to make the decision to not take the journey by yourself. And I was reminded of this more recently, which is why I also wanted to talk about it, because there was a friend of mine who was a part of the church, but then has been healing their church hurt, and then just so happened to manifest myself and her other friend who are like in different parts of the church, but are also spiritual and seeing mantras and all these things. And she's kind of manifested this container of love and like folks who can hold space for her as she journeys, and she's experiencing a lot of miraculous things in her life, and she's like, oh, what a coincidence. I'm like, is it? So in the in the beginning, you're going to feel like everything is a coincidence or you're just lucky, and then you realize that it starts happening almost every single day for you, and not just in one day, or not just once in one day. It's like a bunch of times throughout the day. Your life becomes quite miraculous. Everything becomes seamless because you're allowing yourself to experience this energy of love that you've never felt before. And what's great about that is, you know, you can then more safely be able to manifest things in your life that you once thought were too big or were not tangible for you, but the universe can easily do that. And I always invite people, like, while you are healing your church hurt or any sort of spiritual hurt or generational healing hurt, family hurt, keeping some sort of journal for yourself so that you can look back on it if you choose to. I mean, you don't have to keep a bunch of journals, but you can look back on it and reflect during times of change and transition, right? This last month had a lot of lower frequencies that needed to be released in people's lives, and you might still be experiencing the end of it as we move into this full moon, which is still illuminating a lot of the things that need to be let go of. So I invite you to write about everything you are feeling so that you can pay attention to the miracles that are already present in your life. Because the more you can make it tangible for yourself, the easier it's going to be to trust fall with God or with spirit, especially if you don't have that initial connection, or it's been severed at some point, but you know you want to connect with something, right? And I I love keeping the journal, and I learned about that quite early on in my journey because when things started to get really hard or I was experiencing hardship, I would quickly forget about everything else that was gifted to me. I would quickly forget about how I still had access to food or mobility or, people in my life, even though it was challenging, I still had those things. I still was able to get access to water. I still had clothes on my back. And then that helped me still take these trust falls with God and lean in a little bit more. And the more I was able to do that, and find deeper gratitude, the easier it became to trust. Like when I stopped my whole business for an entire year, or when I would start a new program, or what I'm doing right now, like launching all of these things at one time, and really helping with the assistance of God, right? Because when you have all these references for yourself, your 3D world starts to blend with your spiritual world, and it becomes quite easy. And something that I also want to remind everybody is this like idea of the miracle frequency, which is what I like to call it. Some people say like higher self or manifestation, like all those things. I like to say it's a miraculous frequency because that resonates with me a lot. And there's like no one writes your life story better than the universe or God. I particularly use the word God or spirit. Um, and it's almost like so blatantly in your face that you can't help but call it a miracle. And in the beginning of my journey, what really pushed me into that frequency of allowing blessings and allowing God to step in a very miraculous way was me sitting there and believing that life could be miraculous and that life was becoming miraculous. And then life is miraculous. It was like building safety around how my mindset was actually showing up in my physical realm. And I would go around even saying like, oh, my life is so miraculous. Oh, these miracles happen to me all the time. And I began to see, like I was consciously choosing to see the miracles around me, like people smiling, people eating, animals. I would focus on, the sunlight. And then anything outside of that was even more miraculous. And automatically that ascends your energy into this really amazing bliss state where you can sit within that agape love, that unconditional love. And that's when the miracles start to happen, right? Because you not only want to help yourself, but you unknowingly begin to help others just from being in that energy, because you want other people to experience that energy, and you're communicating with God, and God is also telling you to go help more people because you're so happy all the time, right? And sometimes people look at you like, why the hell are you so happy? I don't understand, like, what's going on? It's like, well, because I'm in this miracle frequency. Everything's a miracle. If I believe, and if you believe in miracles and things that are impossible to happen to be possible, then that is what your reality becomes. And the only difference between someone who doesn't experience a miraculous life and someone who does is the amount of time that they've put into believing in themselves and believing in different energies, but also not causing harm in the physical realm, right? Because there is this like junction where karma meets a miraculous life, and realizing that as a healer like myself, we are also here to be of service. And so when you are a good steward of your time and of your energy, of your love and your money, the universe just keeps giving to you in like very miraculous ways, because the universe knows that you're not going to do something harmful with it. And so, I also suggest people, like, if you haven't been giving back to your community, if you haven't been helping, if you haven't been volunteering, which most of the time is free because they need help, I highly recommend you do it, because it'll really put you in that energy of being selfless, which is what the miraculous energy is. Like, you do it just because you want to, and it immediately takes you out of your ego, and it immediately takes you out of any sort of suffering, when you could just give back wholeheartedly to someone, or some animal, or some cause, right? You realize that life isn't so difficult. Life isn't so difficult for you, and you're just making it difficult. Um and and that exchange can be quite healing for everyone. And also, the world is experiencing so much right now, that little bit of love and time and energy of volunteering, of giving back in that way, will last a lifetime. And there is this mindset sometimes within the spiritual community that's very individualistic, of this is what I'm manifesting, I can't talk to people, like all these things. And your mastery of the miracle frequency comes when you give miracles as well to other people, right? It's not just you sitting in the frequency of things are coming towards you. No, like we're all to be of service. We're all to be of service. And so beyond yourself is the rest of the world, is your community. And when you can elevate of that, um I wouldn't even say it's like a selfish way of living. It's almost like it can be quite challenging, especially if you've gone through a lot of trauma and you've had to be on your guard, or like in survival mode for a long time. It's like a protective energy that you have to be able to elevate out of, so that you can help other people, which most of you want to do. But when you can shift out of that and still remember to give back, like that's when you're in that blissful state, and you can just fully trust fall with God. And there were times in my life when I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't have a lot of clothes, and I didn't have things to give people, but I still gave no matter what, because that was for me like such a reminder of, like, no matter what circumstance I'm in, I'm always going to help someone, because if they need help, they need help, and I'm here to be of service. And I trust fall with God that God's going to catch me if I do this. And every time it works, especially if my heart is very tied to that cause, right? If I know that I can make a difference and it's right at my fingertips, then I'm going to make a difference and know that everything's going to be okay, because I know that frequency. I know God, and I know that God wouldn't have positioned me in front of this person unless I was supposed to help them, right? Like, um, and I talked to, a friend from the past who was like, you seem to gravitate people who are in poverty, and all those things. And they immediately saw it as like, oh, that's your frequency. And I was like, I'm also a messenger. Like, I also help, and I hold a different frequency. And so God will position you in front of people who need the help, because you're meant to help them. You're meant to help them. It's not like an egotistical thing, but if it's like, they will also pick up on your energy of like, there's something about you, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to ask you because it feels like you're going to help me, right? So remember that frequency of living in these miracles is also a lesson of how selfless you can be in your day-to-day life, and appreciating everything that you have around you. And it, like, I also feel like it's okay on the flip side of things. Hold on, my thing is getting quite smoky. It's okay on the flip side of things to want more for yourself as well. Like, that's perfectly okay too. Like, I don't want to paint the picture of like have to be in like a certain level of living situation to be able to experience the miraculous frequency. No, it's at any range or wealth like amount. It doesn't really matter. It's still anchoring into that feeling of love and helplessness of helping those who are houseless. Well, I smushed those together. And giving back to your community and trust falling with God, right? And it's a really beautiful journey when you get into the swing of it, and it really tests it really tests your ego. So I invite you all, especially because we are moving into the later part of the year, to get involved as you can within the community. Give back where you can. It doesn't matter what holiday you celebrate. Just you know look up things on the internet to see where you can volunteer, even in shelters. Like, I know there's a lot of them, especially here with animals and things. You can go walk. I'm doing like toy fundraisers, all the things. So get involved as much as you can. But I did want to talk about that with you all, especially on this beautiful Monday, to start your week and really set the tone for what you're going to be manifesting as you move forward. And this week in Z School for the Gifted on Wednesday and Thursday, mostly on Thursday because that's the bigger class, we're going to be going over clairtangency or psychometry, which is reading energy through touching objects. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I highly recommend you reserve your spot now. The link is going to be in the description. And tomorrow, as usual, I will be going live for Tarot Tuesday. So make sure that you don't miss it. And don't forget to pre-save my song for 11:11. It's called The Stars in Me. And I'm just really excited for you all. Hi, Ember Star. How are you? How's it going? I'm really excited for you all and this beautiful full moon, super moon energy that is coming for everybody. It's going to be a lot. So make sure you release as much as you can leading up till then. If you need any candle workings as well, cord cuttings, you know how to book them from the description. I'm happy to help you. It also comes with a tarot reading to give you guidance. And that's it, my friends. I'm going to sign off. I hope you have a really beautiful rest of your day. And hopefully I will see some of you later this week. Oh, and also stay tuned for a lovely post from the Adventures of Okay, Adventures of a Single Chuggy Lineal on Substack, and also coming soon is going to be another episode of The Mango Men and Other Manifestations, which is now officially an audiobook on Spotify that I just dropped. So make sure you go check it out on Spotify, give it a rating. I know a lot of you have been enjoying it, and I'm going to be bringing some more juicy chapters coming your way. And yeah, that's it, my friends. I will talk to you later. Happy manifesting, happy falling in love, happy doing, I don't know, whatever you like to do on your free time.